Hello and welcome back. Human exposure to aerial pesticides in developed countries is usually limited by the fact that agricultural production occurs away from communities and population centers. But in Ecuador's banana-growing regions, towns are often surrounded by plantations and people live in the flight path of spray planes. Bob Ebershaus continues his investigation into the use of pesticides there and finds a disturbing double standard.
Do the pesticides come in here onto the village?
This affects all the village because the spray gets carried on the wind and it takes it up to the north and to the south. It just doesn't affect us, but everything. Plants, children, animals.
Gladys Cepeda lives with her family in Valencia, a village with banana plantations on all sides.
Look, it's spraying all of the house. He keeps coming and going from one side to the other.
In 2005, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency re-registered mancozeb as a pesticide. But the agency assumed the chemical would only be used on bananas about 10 times a growing season and imposed new safety requirements when mixing and spraying the chemical that had to be added to mancozeb's label.
The EPA says you should only use it 10 times a year, but here it has been increasing. First it was 15 times, then 22, and in 2008 there were banana plantations that used mancozeb 38 times in a year.
In 2005, the U.S. EPA demanded that measures for controlling the drift of pesticide spray be added to mancozeb labels, to go with the warning, do not apply this product in a way that will contact workers or other persons either directly or through drift.
This restriction was never told to us, and it has never been applied here in the country. We apply mancozeb when people are in the plantations, and we apply it to plantations that are right next to villages. Logically, the drift gets to the patios, houses, schools.
Acosta showed us labels for mancozeb products in Ecuador that he collected in 2007 and 2008. Are there any warnings there to take care so that people and communities aren't affected by drift?
Absolutely not. It doesn't say that on any of these labels, not on the Bondozeb label, nor the Manzate label by DuPont, nor this one for Dethane by Dow.
This is the complaint and that we have presented in the Court of Washington.
This past September, a civil suit was filed in the United States against agrochemical producers for the promotion, sale, and use of mancozeb in Ecuador. The class action in U.S. District Court seeks financial damages and medical monitoring for close to 300 pilots, ground crew, plantation workers, and residents whose children have birth defects.
The children who've suffered birth defects and the workers who have experienced problems like respiratory issues or thyroid cancer or pre-thyroid conditions need medical attention.
Washington lawyer Terry Collingsworth is the lead attorney in the case.
Really the key to our case is that up here in the United States, the chemical producers are bound by the EPA regulations, which require all kinds of protective equipment, restrictions on dosage, frequency of use, and then they went down to Ecuador and did not mention all of these very significant restrictions.
The complaint alleges that CropLife, an association representing agrochemical manufacturers and chemical companies like Dow and DuPont, conspired to sell mancozeb in Ecuador.
They have their own representatives down in Ecuador, whether it is for each company a subsidiary that is based in Ecuador or their participation in CropLife Ecuador and CropLife International. So they were pushing this chemical on the producers and on the government to convince people that it could be used safely without any restriction.
Both CropLife International and CropLife Ecuador declined our request for an interview.
And this year, after all this situation with the mancozeb, basically nobody's using mancozeb.
Juan Manuel Perez's company is named as a defendant in the lawsuit.
It says that we are a branch of DuPont and that we act on DuPont's behalf, and that's not true. The case is very weak. Mancozeb is a molecule that is being reviewed by the EPA. They don't want to say there's no risk, but it's a molecule that can be used safely for the health and the environment. And I would say that, like any other product or any other thing that you do in life, you got to read the labels.
This is your label for the product, right?
That's right.
When the EPA re-registered the product, they asked that this restriction be applied